Welcome to it, sports fans. It is the MKT Show. I'm MKT. This is that show. It is Monday the 15th, just over halfway through this month. You've made it to the second year, or the second month of the second year of COVID. Congratulations. Just big up to you at home, surviving the whole pandemic thing, being alive, right? That's a huge thing. Staying alive, massive, massive achievement. Just being alive, great achievement there. Because you're against some great odds right at the beginning there, against little potential brothers and sisters that could have been someone else, but you made it. So shout out to you. You're a winner already. Great to be here. Feeling good. I don't know what it was about this weekend. I just feel good. It's Monday, of course. Today, I'll tell you where I was right, where I was wrong. Because, I'm an honest guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a humble guy. Some say too humble. I'd never say that, but people are saying too humble. I'm too humble. It is probably my biggest weakness, some people are saying, is that I'm too humble, if you could ever believe it. All right, tell you where I was right, where I was wrong. Justifies, it gives you a bit of validity. And I'll talk about Liverpool in a situation I discussed last week, because they had another stinker. Cliff Central Sport, of course, on social media. Otherwise, I am MKT, Mike Kilo Tango. MKT Inspires on all social media platforms. Let's get into it. Let's get the week rolling, right? Monday, I tell you where I was right, where I was wrong. It was a great sporting weekend. Doesn't matter what sport you like. Great upsets everywhere. And hey, if you're into the rugby, good for you, because the Six Nations is rocking. All right, where I was right, where I was wrong. Let's start with where I was right. Listen, if you're a Man United fan, I'm tired of hearing it. David De Gea is done. And I don't care how many times Rio Ferdinand or all the Man United fans keep reinforcing it. De Gea is finished. And the great thing that Fergie always said, and he said it with Van der Sar when he had to get rid of him, was that once a goalkeeper starts making mistakes, it's over. That doesn't stop. That doesn't stop. And the drop from great to good, especially at goalkeeper, is massive. That chasm is huge. De Gea is no longer it. You can't be at Man United. You remember Ben Foster had to leave. They asked him why. He said, "I just want to enjoy my football." De Gea's not on that top at that top level anymore. Because once the mistakes start coming, it's too regular now. I was right. He should have gone 2 years ago. As soon as the mistakes start, it's too late to pull it back. Where I was wrong, Leicester are a top 4 team. Because they actually, Vardy's not fit and Maddison's making it work. Ndidi's probably not operating at 100%, and they're still rock solid in midfield with Tielemans. It's a brilliant, brilliant team. And I think now they are looking ready to really step on the gas, because Vardy's coming back, Ndidi's coming back, Tielemans is really settling in. And really, you still aren't getting the best out of Harvey Barnes, who's probably really their lightning rod. He is brilliant, but you're not getting the best out of him yet. I think the best is still to come. And I think Maddison's probably not 100%. It's a tremendous team, and I think they're going to be problems. I was wrong. They are a top 4 team. Where I was right, Bukayo Saka is Arsenal's best player. He's 19. That's the problem. The great thing is he's 19. He's awesome. If you didn't watch that Leeds game, my God, this guy is awesome. He's everything you wish Paul Pogba was, isn't he? Mature, work ethic, no drama. He's very, very rare. Ability, right, as well as drive. Because usually those are out of balance. I think with Paul Pogba, you see ability, and I'm not sure where that other part is. Right? Ravel Morrison, ability, I need that other part. Jack Grealish, ability, I'm not sure. But Saka's got the character, he's got the ability. It seems he's a team player. It's not like he's not greedy. He's not Mo Salah, right? He will pass the ball, and it's incredible that at 19, his decision making, just phenomenal. Bukayo Saka, I was dead right there. He's Arsenal's king, which is good, and it's terrible at the same time. Where I was wrong, Mauricio Lara, by the way, is packing heat in his gloves, throwing their featherweight division worldwide wide open. Josh Warrington, the Leeds Rhino, got absolutely decimated. 9 rounds. Fight could have been stopped in round 4. Right? A lot of South Africans saying, where was the fight? It was on DAZN, which is a global platform if you don't have it. Whew, that was brutal. Listen, boxing, any pugilist sport, you've got to be sharp. This weekend showed us that, because Warrington's been out for 15 months now. I don't care how good you are. Inactivity ain't going to work. Listen, Mexico doesn't produce any terrible fighters. They're not all going to be great. They're not going to be all going to be Chavez. They're not going to be Caneo. But Mauricio Lara, 22 years old and packing heat. I was dead wrong. I thought the Leeds Rhino would be good enough purely on ability. Tell you what happened. He wanted to trade blows. That's not what you do with the Mexican guy. You do not stand in there and trade blows with the Mexican. They grow up fighting. Right? He's got the technical ability. I don't know why he wasn't jabbing and moving and using his technical ability. Well, he's 30-1 now, and it was a brutal beatdown. And by the way, he had to go to hospital afterwards. If you haven't seen that, Josh Warrington, go on YouTube those highlights. Oof, brutal stuff. I was dead wrong. I thought he'd outclass him. Where I was right, I said earlier in the season, it concerns me now with James Rodriguez. If you're an Everton fan, he's always coming off the field. Folks, I've said this before. When we pay you, in any workplace, when we pay you, what we're really saying, it's the corporate language for we expect you to pick us up when things are difficult. That's your job. That's why CEOs get paid $20 million a year. It's not when times are going well. It's for when we need you. It's when there's corporate misgovernance. That's when the CEO has to stand up and take the bullets. James Rodriguez is so soft. He is so soft. And I said it earlier in the season, it worried me. But now I've seen why Bayern Munich wouldn't sign him full term. I've seen why Real Madrid wouldn't sign him full term. It's over for me with James Rodriguez. And I think Everton have what they call buyer's remorse. Again, why is he coming off the field? 2-0 down. James, we need you. I don't care if guys are kicking you. That's why we pay you. To get kicked and get up like Cristiano Ronaldo does, like Leo Messi does, like Wayne Rooney did, like Luis Suarez did for so many years, like Frank Lampard did, like Thierry Henry did. They get kicked, they get up, and they get on with it. Why? Because, folks, he's not one of the guys. He's supposed to be the guy. And when you're the guy, you got to take all the bullets. I don't want to hear it. That's why we pay you £200,000 a week. If I'm an Everton fan, I'm extremely concerned. James Rodriguez is as soft as a marshmallow. It is revolting. Where I was wrong, I thought Hasenhüttl might be the guy. Whew. I'll tell you what, he's Jurgen Klopp without the production part of it. It's high maintenance, it's high energy, it's very demanding. We crumble. 9-0 twice now. That tells you, uh-oh. And they get whipped quite a lot, actually, and they aren't that attacking of a team. Hasenhüttl crumbling again late in the season. Don't love it. Don't love it. It can't just be the players. At some stage, hey, you got to coach. When the team's struggling, the coach has to coach, be solid, don't get beat. And again, a really bad beating this weekend. Don't give me the penalty thing. VAR, it was 50-50. It goes either way. It's troubling now. It's 6 in a row. 6 losses in a row for Southampton. I thought Hasenhüttl might be his last season at Southampton and he goes to the big time. I'm afraid not. He may not make it till the end of the season because he will wear you down. And if I need to put up with his personality, I need some results, please. Where I was right, the Proteas are doomed. For goodness sake, just reset the whole thing. Now, listen, I don't watch pajama cricket, right? So I don't watch T20, I don't watch one-day cricket, but the whole thing's a mess. Like, after it was clear that the Australians had cancelled, why didn't you just change the team? Now, I know you've called up some guys. Just pay the guys and say, hey, 6 of you are going to have to go home. We're going to go with our first team. Just do it. Listen, it is a business. We want to win, or don't we? Like, it's almost like the administrators are saying, you know what? If we change our minds, some of the guys will get upset with us and not like us. And then we can't tell the boys that we hang out with some SA cricketers for beers. Who cares about players being upset? Just pay the guys. Listen, you say, sorry, gentlemen, 5 of you, by the way, as the world is doing now, as we're all doing now in the working world, you pivot. Sorry, guys, go home. 6 of you are here basically on a holiday. You're not going to play because we're going to bring in Quinton de Kock and a few of the first team guys. I don't see why that didn't happen. It's a disaster. I was right. Protea cricket, just reset the whole thing. It's a mess. It's a shambles. Listen, 5 or 6 of these first teamers, so-called first teamers, got to go because we can be terrible without them. I was dead right there. Where I was wrong, Joe Root is proper, huh? Joe Root's, wow, he's real. You don't make 150 in India. I don't care how flat that track was. You don't do that. You don't go 3 innings in a row over 150 if you're not the real deal. Joe Root's real. Wow. He's real. That's all I'm going to say. I was wrong. I don't want to elaborate too much on that. He's a real guy. My bias says he's still not Williamson, and there's no way I'm taking anyone over Steve Smith anyway. He's probably Labuschane's level. Joe Root's real. I was dead wrong there. Where I was right, Harry Maguire's a bust. It's clear now that he's the deficiency in the team. It's another week. Listen, don't give me Lindelof, right? Because Lindelof's not supposed to be the world record signing. Maguire is supposed to be the guy who comes in and saves the day. Because Virgil van Dijk came in at Liverpool, they became a different football club. Virgil van Dijk changed the whole football club, not just the back line. Liverpool went from being top 4 to being unstoppable when Van Dijk came in. Like unstoppable, unplayable. They had juice, and then he was nitrous. Van Dijk came, when I pay 80 million pounds for you as a centre-back, please. I don't want to be blaming anybody else. Do some shouting, do some organizing, be the guy. Folks, the thing is in life, if you want to be the guy, if you want to be the girl, I don't ever want to hear excuses. Because then you're not the guy or the girl, right? Messi doesn't make excuses. Elon Musk doesn't make excuses. Jeff Bezos does not make excuses. Oprah doesn't make excuses. If you're going to be the girl, you're going to be the guy. I don't want to hear excuses. You deliver or you take all the bullets. I mean, the amount of excuses Maguire has had every single time about being fouled. Because it's twice now he's nearly given the game away, trying to shield the ball and being soft, like marshmallow, James Rodriguez soft. That's not good enough. Not good enough for a world record signing in Harry Maguire. And where I was wrong, Callum Hudson-Odoi is a proper player. It makes me sad to say this. I think Frank Lampard was holding him back. It does make me sad to say this. I'm a Chelsea fan. I don't want to lie. But my God, Chelsea have a serious guy here. And he's 19, 20. I mean, this is crazy. This is a serious... He might be the best genuine winger in the league. Now, don't get me wrong. He's not. I'm not saying he's Raheem Sterling, but I don't think Sterling's a genuine winger. I think the only other top-class genuine winger on the wing in the league is Harvey Barnes. A lot of these guys now are what you call inverted wingers, where they're playing a right footer on the left and he steps inside. There's a British sort of term when we talk about a winger, Ryan Giggs, Ian Robin stuff. They say he's got chalk on his boots. Hudson-Odoi will stretch the pitch. What I love about Harvey Barnes is he's not an inverted winger. He'll stand on the wing, get some chalk on his boots. What that does for the folks who are interested in football and don't get to maybe interact with it on the level some of us do, because I'm a football nerd, is here's what happens, right? Is if your wing stands on the wing and we use this term, get the chalk on his boots, what he's doing, and this was the secret to Lampard and Drogba in the day, because they had Damien Duff and they had Ian Robin, who would stand right on the touchline. So what that does, right, is that the driving midfielder can come into that space. And now the centre-back and the wing-back need to make a decision in what they call the half space there. And it can be a nightmare when you're Ian Robin. It can be a nightmare when you're Ryan Giggs. It can be an absolute nightmare for the wing-back and the centre-back. And I'll tell you what the brilliant ones do. And you see it with Harvey Barnes. He's brilliant at this. You start really wide. It's called stretching the pitch. And then what it does for the winger, right? And if you've got a brilliant midfielder, Tielemans, Paul Scholes, is the winger can then pick, do I make that what they call the outside in run, or do I hug the touchline? And if there's an overlap or an in-lap, right, where sometimes the wing back comes in between the winger and the forward, then I stay on the line, and then it's a nightmare for the wing back, right? So these top-class guys do that. Listen, Callum Hudson-Odoi, my God, he's a guy. He's a guy and he's a genuine winger. It's very, very rare to see them now. It's very, very rare. You don't see genuine wingers anymore. The last one we saw was a guy called Jesus Navas in the Premier League. If you watch that, Harvey Barnes is the next one, and I love to see it. Callum Hudson-Odoi, I was wrong about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing that young man develop. I hope he can get the off-the-field stuff right, because if the off-the-field stuff carries on, I'm out. Like, I can't deal with problems off the field, because I don't think you can be world-class. And I'm sorry to use this as an example again. I'm not really sorry. Paul Pogba, if you don't sort the stuff off the field, Anthony Martial, if you don't sort the stuff off the field, on the field can never be it. Folks, in the history of football, there's only ever been one. His name, a tiny little guy from Argentina called Diego Maradona. Your talent needs to be that level to have off-the-field problems and then do it on the field. And everybody always compares Gaza to Maradona. It's not close. You know, Gaza probably had 3 great seasons in his life. But then the off-the-field stuff caught up with him. He had 1 unbelievable season at Lazio, 1 unbelievable season with England and Spurs, and then 1 unbelievable season with Spurs. The rest was a shambles. Go and look at his career. Diego Maradona is the only guy to be able to have that life off the field and lead Napoli single-handedly to a title. Name me one other. Ronaldinho had 2 great seasons at Barcelona. It caught up with him. PSG, he had half a great season. But even Ronaldinho, who was great, their talent was off the charts. If you got problems off the field, I'm out. Because not even Ronaldinho could survive it, right? Ronaldinho has only had 2 world-class seasons in his whole career. I know a lot of people think it's 15 seasons. I've been watching football forever. It was 2 transcendent seasons at Barcelona and then the off-the-field stuff. Listen, Rijkaard had to come in and say, get the hell out of here. That Pep couldn't deal with that. He went to AC Milan and he ballooned, and the rest, sorry. Only Maradona had problems off the field, and it worked out on the field. But you need godlike. I mean, El Pibe de Oro, right? The golden boy, they called him. Now, I'm not big on religion, but he was, I believe he was ordained with something different. You got to be Maradona level. My God, Maradona level. One of the faces of the game all time. But Hudson Odoi, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the off-the-field stuff is sorted. All right, let's take some comments before I finish off on my Jurgen Klopp. That is a situation, huh? Jurgen Klopp. All right, Rikus Swart says, how was Maguire's market value determined when Man United bought him? Even Smalling was better than this guy. You know what happens, Rikus? I think it's like anything in life, right? If you go and buy something when you're desperate, always 100 times out of 100 times, when you buy something when you're desperate, right, and you're shopping out of emotion and not the principle of what you want, you're going to have problems. Because what you don't do, and we've all made this mistake, we've all bought a car, some people have bought a home, and hey, sometimes you get in a bad relationship doing it like this, right? When you're desperate, when you're not at what they call homeostasis. When you're desperate, you just make bad decisions. What they probably didn't do is you've got to do a little bit of research, right? What they call in business your due diligence. When you're desperate, you don't do diligence. How many times do you read in newspapers? Oh, the diligence. We didn't look at the books. Oh my goodness, there was $100 million hidden in the debt somewhere. How many times do you see that? And I think Man United fell into this trap. They fell into, oh my God, look at the Leicester season. And then they overlooked, oh, what's his off-the-field stuff like? Is he really what we see? Substance over form, folks. He looks like the real deal. He looks like the real deal. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", big. He's a ball-playing centre-back. There was a little bit of hype. If you get caught up in hype, you're desperate, this can happen. I think that's what happened. I'm sorry, there's no way he should be at Man United. Forget about paying 80 million for him. Like, that's crazy. Man United had Rio Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic at a stage. Oh, and then you go and pay a world record for that. Folks, I've always said, you pay 80 million for somebody, you shouldn't have to babysit them. You shouldn't have to babysit them. Because when I pay 80 million, by the way, you know what I'm saying? Is I expect all of the character stuff to be sorted. Mykonos. And then now there's excuses coming out. And every interview is coming out saying, now he's talking about Jurgen Klopp and they're not getting VAR. What? Roy Keane would never make excuses. Vieira never made excuses. Never. And I'm afraid if you're going to captain Manchester United, sorry, that's the gold standard. Because Nemanja Vidic, I watched him for £9 million be the greatest centre-back that the Premier League's ever seen. Perhaps. Arguably. I think he is, but you can argue it. So I'm sorry, the standard at Man United is the standard. Right? You don't come to Man United and we're going to have to babysit you and, oh, here's how things work. You come to Man United, you are the standard. But again, when you're desperate, never ever buy something. Don't get in a relationship. Don't do anything from a position where you're desperate. It never works out. Gukhenkosi saying there was a lot of hype surrounding Maguire after the World Cup that affected his market value. Tremendously said, Gukhe. Tremendously said. And again, right, that becomes, and if you are in stats, Gukhe sounds like somebody who's probably in this. That's very, very a smart thing to say. If you're in stats or the sciences, we're always looking for something in mathematics and in the sciences called true value. Right? We understand book value versus true value is never the same thing. It's never the same thing. And if you're looking for numbers in true numbers, I don't want to get into this boring maths talk. People don't watch this for mathematics, and I'm a dumb anyway. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But we're always looking for true value, and do not confuse value for true value. They are not the same thing, both in mathematics and in real life, and especially in business. Due diligence is everything. This is why in American sports, you often hear they interview the high school coach. They go and interview the primary school coach. They want to meet the parents, right? You got to meet the parents. That's important. That's what Fergie used to do. If you don't know, the collapse of the Paul Gascoigne interview was Fergie said he wanted to meet his parents. And some stuff went down. Tottenham bought Gaz's parents a house, and the rest was a mess. All right, we'll take one more comment. Marcelo says, Arsenal is a banter club at the moment, but they'll be top 4 after 2 seasons at least. They've let go of most of the deadwood. Arteta can build a team around Gabriel, Saka, Smith Rowe, and Martinelli. Wow. Top 4 in 2 seasons, huh? So what you've got to be saying there, because I think Chelsea, I think Man City, I think Leicester, and I think Liverpool are so far ahead of Arsenal. So what that means is Arsenal are going to have to make up a 25-point gap and then hope all the other clubs that are ahead of them don't spend for the next 2 seasons, is what you're saying. Marcelo, listen. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Here's the problem. It's like, let's look at Arsenal as Nokia. Right? When Nokia forgot that what was important. You've heard the young kids saying, always keep the main thing the main thing. We all try and do a million things, right? In life, you have what do the kids say? Have a side hustle. You need a side hustle, homie. Marcelo, I got some bad news for you. Arsenal forgot to keep the main thing the main thing. Nokia forgot to keep the main thing the main thing. Is Nokia stopped making good cell phones, right? Their core offering was make a great cell phone. Forget about having the UX, and then they try to compete and have the music feature and try to be Apple. They got distracted. BlackBerry, same thing. But I'd say let's look at Arsenal as Nokia. The problem with Nokia is when they stood still and they kept the QWERTY keyboard for 1 million years and a terrible user interface and a terrible cell phone for like 5 years when they were leading, is that Samsung and Apple came along. And in that time, whilst Nokia was standing still for 5 years, the other companies had been innovating. Now, when we talk about cell phones, how long's it been since you last heard somebody say, I want a Nokia? How long's it been? 10 years? 10 years. There's no way Arsenal top 4 in 2 years. I'm sorry. The problem is, I think we're just looking at the playing staff. The problem for Arsenal is that the institutional chaos. So Arteta can only do one part. The institutional chaos of excellence is so great for me. I don't care how right Mikel Arteta gets it. Is if the institution isn't with him, right? The institution has to say the standard is winning or death. I'm sorry, you're not going to win. Marcelo, the example I often use is this: if I'm an investment banker, right, and I go and work at a Stockville, or I go work at HSBC, right? I think I'm going to be slightly more successful at HSBC purely because the institution is set up to win. And I love Stockveld. I mean, hey, listen, I'm black. I'm in South Africa. My family's own Stockveld. I'm not in a Stockveld, but I grew up around them, in and around them, right? So I know what Stockvelds, how they work. But there's no, there's no backup systems. There's no computers. There's no links to HSBC in Hong Kong. I need that. I need sophistication. So, Marcelo, I'm sorry, man. I don't know how to. I would say you're the Stockville, Nokia, and the other clubs, which are Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United. The spending has not stopped at Man United, by the way. And Man United are probably your biggest challenge for that top four. Leicester, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool. What are you going to do about them? They're not going to stop spending. Just because you stopped, it doesn't mean the rest of the business world stops. Marcelo, I have bad news for you. 3 to 5 years. I think 5 years. You've got to get the institutional culture right. Because I'll tell you what happens at a place like Arsenal. Right? And let me break it down for you. Let's say Arsenal are in the top four. Let's live in Marcelo's dream world next season. Okay? Next 2 seasons. Let's say Arsenal get top four. You know what happens when you get in the top four is you need to spend 200 million pounds to stay in the top four. And then Bukayo Saka sees you not spend 200 million. And then the next season, Liverpool do spend 200 million. And then you're in the top 6 again. And then you know what happens. Bukayo Saka sees Man United, sees Man City, sees Chelsea, sees Bayern Munich, and they come calling. And you know what happens? Robin van Persie goes to Man United. It's the same cycle. If the institution is not willing to say, we are going to win at boardroom level and then you can win at football level, I'm sorry, you're doomed. And right now, Arsenal cannot compete because for 17 years now, Arsene Wenger allowed it to whittle down. I'm sorry, he has to take a lot of the blame. He's allowed it to whittle down. You haven't competed at the institutional level, so the institution has crumbled. So the spending power isn't there because getting to the top four is one thing. Now you got to stay there. And I'm telling you, that costs 150, 200 million a year to stay in there in the transfer market. Man City just spent 60 million pounds after they failed in a season on a centre-back. Just forget Ferran Torres, forget the rest. Arsenal are going to spend 60 million on 3 or 4 players. So, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. 5 years until Arsenal are a top 4 team. Because the playing deadwood, yes. But the institutional deadwood, I'm sorry. That mentality is everything. You can't win if there's chaos at the institution. But Marcelo, hope springs eternal and all that. Hope springs eternal. All right, let's finish off with Liverpool. First, it doesn't always need to be awful for you to break up with somebody in a relationship. I feel like sometimes we get trapped in this thing is we have to wait until we're ready to throttle each other in order to break up. Right? Isn't it like that? Like we wait until it's... Sometimes good people need to part ways. Because sometimes the relationship has run its course. And it's not to say that you're a bad person, she's a bad person, you're a bad person. Sometimes it's just over. Sometimes things have run their course. Now, it takes very mature people to go, this thing's over. You're not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. But the situation's over. Right? I've grown into a different person. You've grown into a different person. And we've both grown. We've maybe grown apart. You're not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. But the situation is over. Listen, the Klopp situation's over. And I've said it before. A personality type like Jurgen Klopp is not just tiring for the players. It's not just tiring for the institution. It's tiring for him. Listen, his mother has just passed away. That is a horrible situation. Take it from a mommy's boy. I don't know what I'd do in that situation. That's one thing. Folks, I started saying this last season, that it was over last season already. I could see when Mo Salah is fighting with Sadio Mane. That's over. That's a relationship that's over. That's a coaching problem, by the way. That's a coach's thing. Coaches have to keep the locker room sometimes. When problems come around, you've got to deal with them. And they've been coming out. Folks, I've seen Sadio Mane sulking on the bench. Listen, the Klopp and Liverpool situation, it's not that Jurgen Klopp's a bad manager. Nobody's saying that. But it's just with that high motor of his, heavy metal, I've said this before. Listen, heavy metal can be cool, but I can only listen to one heavy metal song a year. I can listen to classic rock, hip-hop, grime music, put that on all the time. I can listen to that all the time. I can do heavy metal 1 song a year. Jurgen Klopp grinds, folks. And I've been saying it all year, and Liverpool fans have been spitting in my face when I said they're not going to make top 4 this year, not because of the talent, not because of Jurgen Klopp, but because winning's brutal. And then when you put in jet fuel that is Jurgen Klopp's personality, winning grinds. Winning grinds, folks. If you've been in a high maintenance relationship and you're both high achievers, folks, look at Hollywood. Everybody thinks Hollywood marriages should last. He's a big time actor. She's a big time actor. They should understand each other. Folks, winners, sharks, they can't live too much in the same place. All right? You need a lubricant for that apex predator sometimes. Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool and the demanding nature, it's run its course. Folks, I've said it. Sell Mo Salah, get a world record for him, and reset the rest of the squad. I think you'll lose Gini Wijnaldum. I don't think he'll re-sign. And then you reset the squad. Why, as people, do we need things to be a disaster before we break up? Liverpool doesn't need this to get ugly. And let me tell you something. If Jurgen Klopp stays till the end of the season, they're going to finish somewhere between 6th and 8th. And it's going to get ugly. Part ways now. Save the top 4. Mo Salah, it must be clear that you're going to cash in. You're going to get 200 million from Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, whoever. Somebody will pay 200 million. I know people say it's the COVID market. They'll find money. For Mo Salah, they'll find money. Real Madrid need another superstar. I think Benzema is, and he's the biggest name in Arabic football right now, and that matters. There's a reason Karim Benzema is still at Real Madrid. It's not his ability. In the Arabic market, he's the guy. Mo Salah's the next one. Just break up. It's over. Liverpool, it's been a good ride. You're not a dynasty. Shut that down. Shut the hell up about that. You're not a dynasty. It was nice while it lasted. You're basically Leicester on a budget. You got a bit of budget, you're Leicester. But the Klopp thing's over, folks. Accept it. And by the way, there's no nice way to break up. Anybody who's ever told you, oh, be mature in the breakup is an idiot. Tell them to go sit in the corner. There's no good way to break up. All breakups are brutal. But be proactive. Don't be reactive. Folks, when life forces your hand to do something brutal, it's always worse. It's always nicer if you're the football club. You say to Jurgen, listen, Jurgen, go and sit it down. You've just had a tragic event in your life. Let's allow somebody else to be the caretaker. Ride the season out, and wherever it lands, it lands. And at the end of the season, we reboot. But the Jurgen Klopp cycle is over. And folks, if you're a grown-up, learn to accept terrible news before the world forces you to accept that terrible news. And I know Liverpool fans. I know. Maybe it's listen, it's Valentine's Day weekend. Maybe you don't want to hear bad news. Maybe you want Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks ending. It's not happening. This is going to get super ugly. It's over. I said 2 weeks ago, if you watch the show 2 weeks ago, I said, let go of Klopp. It's done. I can see it. I've seen football clubs that are broken. It's broken now. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Moving forward, Sadio Mane is your guy. You surround Sadio Mane with talent, and you reboot. Next season will be a reboot season. It'll be a top 4, top 6 season for Liverpool. Forget it. Title, forget it. City have just rebooted. They had their rebooting season last season. Everyone wrote them off. He's rebooted. He went and spent £230 million over the last 2 years. 60 million. Diaz came in. They're getting they'll get a replacement for Aguero. That's Ferran Torres. You're watching them do that. Rodri came in because he came in for Fernandinho. It's been a transition. Now they're locked and loaded. So Liverpool, you'll reboot next season, and the sooner you do that, the better. Jurgen Klopp, it's been good. Sayonara. Oh, auf Wiedersehen, as they might say. All right, that's it for this week. Or for today, for this week. I mean, jeepers. How about this? I'm really starting to show my age. 34 is old. Folks, I'm MKT Inspires on social media. This is the Cliff Central Sport platform. This is the MKT Show. I'm actually MKT. This show is named after me. And that feels good. If anyone's wondering, people at home going, hey, what does it feel like to have a show named after you? Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I'll tell you right now. Feels pretty good. And for tonight, it's been great. It's been an honor. You could have been anywhere with anybody. You chose to be with me and the Cliff Central Sport team on MKT Show. But for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, MKT, Gareth Cliff, Cliff Central Sport, we are the hell out of here.